Hello guys, welcome to this third episode of our videocast series about DevOps for financial services. My name is Juan Jose Rodriguez and I am VP of Engineering here on Clickit Smart Technologies.
And I'm Alfonso Valdez, the CEO and founder of Clickit.
How's everything going lately, Alfonso?
I'm very good, you?
Everything's going fine,
Nice.
actually. A pretty interesting topic what we have today. So guys, that brings me to the topic for this present video, which is the top AWS services for financial services or for fintech companies. So this is a pretty interesting topic since most of our customers, most of our partners ask us about what are the best services that fintech can use in order to optimize their operations and optimize their processes. So in the present video, we are going to try to explain to you what are those best services that fintech companies can use and how they work and some recommendations that Clickit makes for those services. So guys, the first service that we should talk about is AWS ECS. ECS stands for Elastic Container Service, and this is a container orchestration tool that enables your application to scale up according as the level of demand increases. What ECS does is to continuously create more containers, or if you want to understand it another way, more servers, in order to run the application's processes as the demand increases. This way, you ensure that your application is always capable to satisfy the levels of demand from users and that you have no downtime.
So what are the benefits of Amazon ECS?
Well, I will say that the main business benefits that a fintech company can have from implementing AWS ECS is that since ECS automates all the labor of scaling and of failovering the applications, you remove the necessity to have a full-time system administrator being in charge of your infrastructure. Why is this? Because ECS automatically scales and automatically failovers the application in case any demand peak or any emergency comes into the regular operations of the application. Now, another particular benefit that we can find on ECS, particularly for fintech companies, is that if you have ECS, you will have high reliability, you will have high scalability and high availability, which will ensure that you are always capable to provide your service or the service that your applications gives to the users without interruption, which of course will mean that you will have satisfied users and you will make more business, of course. And now, regarding some topics or some tips, or some recommendations that we can give about ECS is that if you have an application which can be experimenting high levels of demand randomly, we recommend that you implement ECS or any other orchestration tool, but primarily ECS in your production environment. This will ensure that your application is always capable to attend to all levels of demand and you will be always available for your end users.
So the second service is Amazon Lambda, but let's start thinking about what is serverless architecture. Well, it's a technology to run applications without servers, so you don't have to worry about the backend infrastructure, security, firewalls, networking, and anything about that. So you have to focus just on the development. Now, there is an abstraction of the all IT layers. So what I mean with that? So no servers, no load balancers, no networking, no microservices, no instance, no nothing, just your code and you. Can you imagine that? No. So what is Lambda then? Well, Lambda is an AWS service that helps you build serverless applications. So you bring your code and you start executing your code, and you will get charged for that millisecond, that second, or that minute. Can you imagine that? So instead of charging you by 1 month or 1 hour, you will get charged for those milliseconds and you reduce obviously costs.
Okay, Alfonso, and what would you say that are some of the most important characteristics of Lambda?
Yeah, that's a good question. For initially, Lambda allows you to create an event-driven application. That's one point. The second point is that it's auto-scales and it's fault-tolerant. That's the second point. The third point is that it acts as a function, as a service aspect or feature. And finally, Lambda allows you to abstract the security operation. What it means with that whatever you do above Lambda, like code, function, and algorithm, you have to take care of that. The web security, best practices like cross-site scripting attacks, cross-site request forgery, file inclusion. Whatever is below Lambda, like firewalls, again, routers, networking, servers, it's taken care by Amazon Web Services. So instead of worrying about 6-7 aspects, now you have to worry in one aspect, which is the code.
Okay, and what would you say that are one of the most common use cases that fintech companies could get from AWS Lambda?
Yeah, you could create backend applications. You could create also a static websites application alongside with Amazon S3, API gateway. Also, you can create an API. So that's if you have an application which runs an API and have to route those requests to multiple websites or application, I really recommend using Lambda along with API gateway.
Now, we also know that AWS Lambda works for scheduling some kind of jobs or such. So what would you say that are some examples of scheduled jobs for a fintech company?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, I will think about a financial service report. Imagine that you have a job that requires to run every month for a few hours. So you have, in a conventional way, you have to create or you have to provision and lease a data center to rent that data center. So in this case, with Lambda, you can create that algorithm, you can create that report in a few seconds or in a minute, and you get charged by hour, by millisecond, or by second. Compared to a normal environment where you have to buy the entire data center, and you have to spend a lot of money in that case. Okay, so another good use case is that there is another authentication method called AWS Cognito. That service is very, very unique because Amazon thought that if any application can run an authentication method or authentication model, why don't bring that service to everybody? So if you need an authentication method or a model for your application, so Amazon thought on that and built that service for you. So instead of any developer creating that authentication module, now Amazon bring it, so you have to integrate it and you reduce costs on that aspect.
The third service is CodePipeline. But what is CodePipeline? CodePipeline is a continuous delivery service that enables you to implement continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines and allows you to automate all the process to build, test, and launch new changes of code into your application. The good part about AWS CodePipeline is that it is compatible with several repository services such as GitHub, GitLab, or even AWS Code Commit. And it is great to implement with a container orchestration approach in order to update all the Docker images that will be launched into the infrastructure. Now guys, you will ask yourselves, what is the main process benefits or the business benefits that CodePipeline will bring for any fintech company? Well, the main benefit is that it makes the code release process faster. And of course, if, for example, a fintech company wants to release a new payment method or a new payment feature into their fintech app, then CodePipeline will make it faster by automating all the code, build, test, and launching processes. And in this case, the code release will take perhaps seconds or minutes instead of taking hours if you weren't automating this process.
So Juan Jose, what are the ClickIt recommendations?
Well, I will say that there are two main recommendations. First of all, is that when implementing CodePipeline in your Fintech app, you should also implement DevSecOps. That was a topic that we discussed on the last video about security. But it's important that you implement a DevSecOps function in order to verify that all your code releases are free from vulnerabilities and dependencies errors. And another thing is that we strongly recommend that you implement automated unit testing on your code pipeline for new code deployments into your infrastructure.
Very nice.
Those will be the main two recommendations that we have.
So the fourth service, what is AWS SageMaker? Well, in a nutshell, it's an end-to-end machine learning solution to build, train, and deploy machine learning models through an API. As you know, any service needs to have an API where you can integrate or it can be cloud native. Something important to say as well is that it's very easy for developers to integrate it. What does it mean? Well, it's as Amazon Communication, as any Amazon RDS, Amazon SageMaker also comes with a pre-configured setup. Now, also comes with 15 algorithms or more, or you can bring your own algorithms. And lastly, as well, it comes with the famous TensorFlow framework. Also, you need to use Python for all your integrations.
And Alfonso, what would you say that are some of the most important use cases for AWS SageMaker, in this case for fintech companies?
I have three options for that. One is predictive analytics, where if you are running big data, but without analysis and due diligence is not big data. That's a very good point. Now we have anomaly detection, where you can proactively monitor your IT infrastructure and identify any anomaly. That's a good use case for that. And lastly, similarly, I have fraud detection, where usually there is a lot of attacks, a lot of stealing of information, stealing of credit cards. So with Amazon SageMaker, you can identify any malicious activity, any pattern that can be identified as an intruder. So it's important to deploy Amazon SageMaker in this case.
Okay, and what is the pricing for AWS SageMaker?
Oh yeah, well, as any other service, 1 million requests are free monthly. So that's very common. But if you provision a medium instance, well, it could cost you around $40 the hour. Or if you provision a large instance, it could cost you $150, which is obviously is more costly than any other EC2 instance. To sum up, well, AWS SageMaker, it's a catalyst to start working with machine learning and artificial intelligence journey. It facilitates the development productivity, and lastly, it gives you the ability to deploy your machine learning algorithm to production more faster and easier. We have a bonus service which is called Amazon Elastic MAPREDUCE. That's a very important topic in the big data space, which that service is a big data platform to analyze and process big and large data sets. It's based on Apache Spark, and it's used for machine learning, risk calculations, log analysis, deep learning, obviously analytics and machine learning.
And well, Alfonso, what would you say that are some benefits that fintech companies can get from using AWS Elastic MapReduce?
That's a very good question. Well, mainly you can reduce infrastructure costs and you can reduce your capex. As any conventional data center, you need to buy the entire farm of servers, and you spend a lot of capex on that case. With Amazon Elastic MapReduce, you are using just for whatever you are using or per use. Another benefit is that any sysadmin or DevOps work or development is reduced. Actually, there is a marketing firm called IDC, and they made a report where when you migrate a Apache Spark into Elastic MapReduce, you are reducing 50% of your implementation costs and maintenance. Can you imagine that?
That's cool.
Now, the third aspect is spot instance. A few months ago, actually a year ago, Elastic MapReduce has the ability to adopt spot instance, where spot instance is very hot in the reserved instance where you save 50 to 80% of the instance. So imagine that you're paying perhaps $500, now you will pay $150 or even less for that.
Okay, and what practical scenarios can we define about a fintech company using AWS Elastic MapReduce?
Yeah, the first use case that I will come to my mind for sure is business intelligence. So using Amazon QuickSight along with Elastic MapReduce. The second use case I will think about is for online trading. The third benefit will be risk calculation, and the fourth is for creating ETLs and data pipelines, which ETL we know that extract, transform, or load, and with big data it's very common to transform multiple data, multiple files into different storage. Now, to conclude, so you think about it that you need to maximize the value of your data in order to have a data-driven company and also to create better and wise decisions.
The next set of services is IAM plus KMS. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management Service, and KMS stands for Key Management Service. But let's start defining first what are these services. Well, first of all, IAM or Identity and Access Management Service is an AWS service that enables you as a fintech company to configure users for your AWS infrastructures and configure the specific permissions for those users. So for example, if you are going to create a user for a web developer, perhaps you only want him to have access to the application servers where he will be working, or perhaps you will grant him only access for database, etc. So basically, IAM works in order to create users and grant specific permissions so that every user only has the level of permissions required. And on the other hand, guys, we have KMS, which is a key management service. But what is this service? This is a service that enables you as a fintech company to create secrets, let's call it that way, which can be passwords, accesses, usernames, etc., that you want to keep away from undesired access and that you want to keep confidential. So you can see that IAM plus KMS help you to improve the security of your fintech. Now, what are the main business or operation benefits that a company can get from this? Well, it's really simple. If you grant permissions over certain or specific resources on your AWS infrastructure, then everyone in your team will only have the necessary level of access that they really need to perform the job. And this will help you to avoid undesired access, damages, or compromises for your sensitive resources and sensitive data. So you can see the big benefit that this brings for adding an extra layer of security for fintech companies.
Juan Jose, I have one question. Particularly to fintech, what are the benefits?
Well, Alfonso, most of the fintech companies or fintech application developers manage sensitive data, sensitive algorithms that are confidential or private, that they don't want to be public to the internet.
I agree.
So this becomes really important because, as we discussed on the last episode, for example, the PCI standard, the SOC 2 standard, requires from fintech company to have sensitive data private and to have sensitive data away from undesired access. In this case, all the credit card information, all the bank account information from users, perhaps, and other sensitive resources need to be away from undesired access. And here is where IAM and KMS enter into the game, which is to protect the sensitive resources and the sensitive data from undesired users and from undesired damages. So that will be the main benefit. And well, our recommendations, the clicked recommendation for using IAM plus KMS is, first of all, you must create groups of users on your IAM approach. For example, you need to create several categories. For example, you will create the category development, then you will create the category system administrators, the category management, and then you will group all your team over those categories using a set of permissions that you define for every category. Another recommendation that we give for you is that you must rotate and change your password and accesses for your sensitive resources every 30 days. So that's really important, because if you stay with the same password or the same access for a long time, well, you become more vulnerable to get that information stolen or leaked, and we don't want that. And the third recommendation is that you always enable the multi-factor authentication for all your users. This will add an extra layer of security, and it is a very personal layer of security for every user. So guys, in this video we have talked about several of the AWS services that are required for any fintech company. First, for reliability, we have ECS. Then for automation, we have AWS Lambda. Then for time to market, we have CodePipeline. Then for analytics, we have SageMaker, and we have Elastic MAPREDUCE. And lastly, for identity and security management, we have IAM and KMS. So we hope that you have really enjoyed this video. It was great to be with you again, guys, and we see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
See you later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you really liked this video, then give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe in our YouTube channel and be aware of the newest videos in the DevOps Talks.